My daughter took her dad's side during our divorce, called his affair partner Mom, and I spent her college fund on a new house out of heartbreak. I, 44 female, have an 18-year-old daughter, Mia, and she's supposed to start college in a couple of months. I'm also in the middle of a divorce from my husband of 20 years, Jonathan, 45 male. He had an affair with his secretary, Alicia, 34 female, and that had been going on for almost a year before he finally came clean to me about it a couple of months ago. I filed for a divorce as soon as I could after he told me, and I also moved out of our house. I've been living with a friend of mine ever since I left. I'd expected Mia to take my side on this because I'm obviously the victim here, but for some reason, she chose to take her father's side. I tried to talk to her a week after the divorce because she hadn't been texting me, not even to find out where I was. She hadn't been at home on the day Jonathan came clean to me about the affair, and I moved out that day, so I never got a chance to say goodbye to her. I waited for her to text me and ask me where I was, but that text never came. So, after almost a week of waiting, I decided to text her first and told her that I was leaving her father because of his affair. She told me that she already knew but didn't care about it much because she felt like this didn't concern her. I thought that it was a bit odd, and began to think that maybe I'd made a mistake by letting Jonathan talk to her first, because that meant that he controlled the narrative and could feed Mia whatever nonsense he wanted to about our marriage and our relationship, so she would side with him over me. I tried to talk to her many more times afterwards so I could set the record straight, but it appeared to me that Jonathan had actually told her the truth, and in spite of that, she was on his side. I thought that was insane, but she was still my daughter, so I tried to convince her to talk to me and put in a lot of effort to get her to spend time with me. Even though I was super busy with the divorce and my job, she would agree to meet me like once in a blue moon, and I tried to make a day out of it, but even then, she would just seem very unenthusiastic and would be on her phone almost the entire time. For the last couple of weeks, she hadn't been responding to any of my texts and was completely icing me out. Then about a week ago, I saw a post that she put up on Instagram where she was hugging Alicia with a caption that referred to her as Mom with a heart emoji. I was already feeling horrible because not only was I losing my husband, but now it appeared that I was also going to lose my daughter to the same woman. That post was pretty much my last straw, and I just completely snapped. I called Mia up, and when she didn't answer the first time, I decided to go a little crazy and called her almost 17 more times until she finally picked up the phone. She sounded annoyed, but I couldn't care less about how she felt and instantly demanded an explanation for the post and the caption. She told me that it was none of my business and that I shouldn't be stalking her account in the first place anyway. It was crazy because she has a public account and I follow her because I'm her biological mother. I told her that it was really low and disgusting of her to take Jonathan's side even though he had cheated on me. And now she was pretending that the other woman was her mother while ignoring the woman who'd actually given birth to her and raised her for so long. Mia told me that she owed me nothing, and if I was so hurt, then she was just going to block me so I wouldn't be able to see any more of her posts. She told me that whatever happened was done, and that now, instead of whining, I should just try to make my future better, like she was trying to get along with her new family. Then she disconnected the call and actually ended up blocking me, which came as a huge shock to me. Mia and I, like any other mother-daughter duo, had our differences, but I would never expect her to stab me in the back like this. She and I had been pretty close growing up, and only in the recent years had she started growing closer to Jonathan than to me. But I always believed that she loved us equally. That phone call proved that she didn't, and it set me off the edge. I think I cried for almost an hour after she hung up and blocked me, because I couldn't believe that my little girl would do this to me. But once I was done crying, I decided that I wasn't going to let everybody get away with walking all over me and then just keep sobbing for the rest of my life. I decided to take Mia's advice and do something crazy. I set aside a ton of money for Mia's college fund. Jonathan and I had figured that we could split the cost of sending her to college, so he'd saved up to pay half. And so had I in our separate bank accounts because we weren't supposed to touch that amount. But I decided to just screw it and spend that money on buying a house that I'd really wanted for the past couple of years. I'd had my eye on a beautiful house in a really nice neighborhood, but I hadn't been able to buy it because Jonathan wasn't ready to move out of our old house. And Mia didn't want to leave that neighborhood because all her friends lived close by. But as soon as I realized that Mia had almost no gratitude, the sooner I accepted that, the better off I would be. So, I decided to talk to the real estate agent dealing with that house and offer them the entire college fund and some more so I could buy that house. And I got a deal. I'm supposed to move into the house by the end of the month, so I decided I was going to take a picture of that house and post it on my social media so that everybody would know that I'm not sitting at home and crying over things that I have no control of anymore. I posted that image on my account, and I guess some relatives of Jonathan sent it to him. He texted me a few days ago to ask me how I was able to afford that house because the last time we discussed this, it was a little out of my budget. I didn't care what he would think of me, so I told him truthfully that I spent Mia's college fund to buy that house, and I didn't have any regrets about it. He flipped out and started yelling at me, calling me an irresponsible mother and telling me that I had no right to do this to our daughter. He accused me of being petty and jealous just because Mia seemed to be getting along well with Alicia. He also insinuated that I was somehow punishing her for not turning her back on her father and siding with me instead. None of that was true. I was just doing this because I finally felt like I'd earned it, and I no longer needed to keep running after my daughter because she had other people looking out for her. And it was pretty evident from her behavior that she preferred these new people over me. So, she didn't need me anymore, and if she didn't need me, then I would assume that she didn't need my money either. He couldn't argue with that, so I disconnected the call. But it wasn't over yet because, after that, I still had Mia to deal with. An hour after my phone call with Jonathan, she called me, and she was devastated. She was sobbing, and I could barely even make out what she was saying because she was crying so hard. She kept asking me how I could do this to her when she'd always put me first and above everybody else. It was petty, but I did ask her if she was still putting me first when she blocked me just because I seemed to be upset that she was calling Alicia her mother. She told me that it meant nothing, and it was only a sweet gesture that she thought would make Alicia feel more comfortable as part of the family because no matter what the past was, Jonathan still wanted the future with Alicia. And she said that she just wanted to balance her old family and her new family now without letting either of them go. She said that she hadn't expected me to turn so hostile toward her, and I told her that I could say the same thing for her because it was actually she who turned her back on me first. Even though I was the victim, and I was the one who'd been cheated on, she just kept crying and said that she'd never expected her own mother to take revenge on her like this. And I started feeling pretty horrible about what I did, especially when she started hiccuping in the middle of her sobs because she only did that when she was upset. I hadn't heard her do that ever since she was a kid, so I knew that she was really upset now. I guess I may have taken things a little too far. She told me that she was very sorry about whatever she did, for what it's worth, and then disconnected the call. But I haven't been able to forget about it, and I really don't know if what I did was out of line or not. AITA for spending my daughter's college fund on the new house after she called her dad's affair partner. Mom? Update 1. Hey guys, so I moved into my new house recently, and it's been a few days since I've been living here. I brought back all the things that I paid for from my old house, and I did run into Jonathan, Alicia, and Mia there as well. They're all living together now, so that's nice. Nice because it seems like Jonathan found a replacement for me as soon as I was gone. Actually, he already had a replacement lined up even before I was gone, to be precise, which is why the divorce is happening. Jonathan and Alicia ignored me the entire time I was there, which wasn't really a punishment for me, because it just made it easier for me to instruct the movers and help me get my job done a lot faster than I would have been able to had they decided to talk to me. Mia, however, tried to stop me and talk to me before I left. She hadn't tried to interrupt me the entire time that I was there, and neither had I tried to talk to her because I had nothing left to say to her, especially not after whatever had happened in the past. But she stopped me just as I was about to get into my car and asked me if I had given any thought to what or how I was going to contribute to her college fund. There was no apology and no sign of regret, so I didn't bother to answer and just drove away. I thought about it a lot over the past few days, and I really can't come up with any excuse for my daughter's behavior. We had grown a little distant in the last couple of years, and I thought that it was normal because she was a teenager and I was her mother, so she couldn't get along with me even if she wanted to. But she'd been on good terms with her father throughout, which made me feel a little alienated, but I never held that against her. This was different. This was something where I actually needed her to stand up for me, but she didn't do that, and I guess I was really disappointed. It was bad enough that she didn't stand up for me, knowing that her mother had been cheated on, but the way she treated me after that is what hurt. I don't think anybody would be able to tolerate that degree of disrespect, regardless of who it came from. And it's not as if my daughter's a child, she's an adult. She knew what she was doing. Update 2, like I said in my previous update, I can't forgive my daughter, and the money is already spent. So I don't understand the point of bothering me every other day. But Mia has decided that she's going to keep texting me every other day to ask if I've changed my mind. I've been ignoring her for the past couple of days, but it's been almost a week, and she still keeps doing it. So today, I decided to finally text her back. I told her that the money was already spent now, so there was not much that I could do to bring it back. Besides, she'd already made her priorities pretty obvious to me, so it was kind of unfair for her to treat me badly and then expect me to pay for her college fund. The person she'd referred to as Mom could actually make some contribution to her fund, and that would be a lot more reasonable. Mia got annoyed and texted back, saying that it was just a post and there was no need for me to get so triggered over it. But to me, it wasn't just a post. It felt like a slap in the face because not only was Jonathan choosing this woman over me, but it felt like my own daughter was also taking their side. She was old enough to tell apart right from wrong, so it really didn't make sense to me why she'd chosen their side over mine. The only two explanations that I could come up with were that either she just didn't even think that they'd screwed up, which would be a terrible reflection of her morals, or maybe she knew something that I didn't, and they were doing something for her that I couldn't. Either way, she wasn't on my side and she didn't have my back, which was a pretty huge heartbreak for me. I told Mia all of this, and the only thing she had to say to my long emotional text was that I needed to get over it. I was so exasperated with her that I muted all notifications from her and archived her chat. I couldn't block her because she's still my daughter, but if she decides to test my patience again, I just might do that. Update 3. So it's been 2 weeks since I last spoke to my daughter, and today Jonathan and Mia decided to ambush me at my office. I was just about to leave the office premises so I could head out to a restaurant for lunch when I saw Jonathan's car parked across the street, and both of them were leaning against it and waiting for me to come out. I decided that I was going to ignore them and just walk past them, but they made their way toward me and told me that I needed to talk to them and explain my actions to them. Even after so many explanations, I couldn't fathom what they were still confused about. I told them to go away, but like most other times, that didn't work. Mia started sulking and told me that if not Jonathan, I definitely did owe her an explanation. So, I decided that I was just going to get this done with once and for all. I told them to follow me into the nearest restaurant, and once we were seated, I decided to start talking without even giving them a chance to interrupt me because I wasn't interested in their side of the story at all. I told them that Jonathan and I, in spite of being together for almost 20 years, were still getting a divorce because he cheated on me. And instead of having some empathy for me, Mia decided that she was going to suck up to her father's affair partner and do everything in her power to make me feel bad about myself, as if I wasn't feeling bad enough because of the divorce and all the cheating already. I told her to her face that after everything that's happened, I really can't think of her as the daughter that I'd raised, because if she really was my daughter, she would never do the things and say the things that she had. It was all disgusting to the very core, and I didn't want to associate with any of them anymore. They were all immoral, unethical, and just disgusting people in general. I told Mia in particular that I was still entertaining her because she was my daughter, but had it been a stronger and more ruthless woman in my place, then she probably would have cut her off after that post. She was lucky that she even got a chance to talk to me at all because not many people would give her that chance. After I was done talking, I could see tears in Mia's eyes, and I just knew that she was about to start crying. So I hurriedly grabbed my burrito, paid for it, and left. I said a lot of things, but it was still really hard for me to watch her cry, and I didn't want to appear weak, so I just left without another word. Neither of them has contacted me since then, and I hardly think that they will after this. Even if they do, it'll probably not be to ask for the college fund anymore because I think I've made it pretty clear why that's gone, so they really can't have any more questions about that. I still have to meet Jonathan in a couple of days for the negotiations, so I know that I'm going to have to continue seeing him, but I don't know what is going to happen to my relationship with Mia after this because she seemed pretty upset today. I don't know what exactly made her cry, but I know that the things I said today definitely got to her. Update 4. It's been a month since I last met my daughter, and I almost thought I would never see her again. I was sad, but I'd made my peace with it. There wasn't much that I could do at that point either. Jonathan stopped fighting me at the negotiations as well, probably because what I said at our last informal meeting at the restaurant got to him. I realized that once he told me about Alicia, I didn't even scream at him. I just left quietly and never looked back again. I guess the guilt hadn't really settled in because I hadn't expressed how disappointed and angry I was until that day at the restaurant. As for Mia, we didn't speak for a month after that. Like I said, I almost thought that I would never see her again. She's supposed to start college in a couple of weeks, and I keep going through old photo albums of us from when she was little because I felt like I'd be there to see her off when she went away to college. I kept thinking about how now it would be Alicia, instead of me, who'd be seeing her off, and that made me really upset. But I couldn't do anything about it. 3 days ago, I received an email from Mia, and it was a pretty emotional one. She apologized to me for behaving the way that she did, and told me the real reason she was trying to be nice to Alicia. Apparently, Jonathan had promised her that he'd buy her a car if she treated Alicia better, and also let her get an apartment in her second year with her friends. She couldn't think of a way to do this without hurting me. She knew that if she continued to be on good terms with me, then I'd definitely ask her about her close relationship with Alicia, and she didn't want that. So she just started pushing me away and hoped that she'd be able to reconnect with me once she got the car. She said that she now understood that none of it was worth losing her relationship with me over, and that she regretted every single thing that she did. She told me that she'd really love it if I would be there to see her off when she started college, and even told me the dates and everything. I haven't yet made up my mind on whether I want to go or not because, at the end of the day, she was doing all this just for a car and so she could have fun with her friends. I could understand the appeal of that because I, too, was once her age, but I would never hurt my loved ones for something as insignificant as that. And she did hurt me. She hurt me pretty bad. It was intentional, and it was for a really petty reason. So, I don't know if I can forgive her so quickly, but at least she apologized, so that's something. I haven't responded to her email yet because I'm still struggling with what to do about this. I really don't think that a car or an apartment is a valid enough reason to act the way she did, but I do miss her terribly. And I really wish that we could go back to being the way that we were, or at least try to. Update 5. Hi guys, thank you so much for following my story and for all the comments and messages that I've received and still continue to receive. It really means the world to me that so many people resonate with me. Hang in there, things do get better. Mia and I have finally begun to work on our relationship. She's supposed to leave for college in a couple of days, and I finally responded to that email yesterday. I told her that she made me feel awful, like I'd failed as a mother, and that it would take me a while to come around. Having said that, I couldn't possibly keep her away from me anymore because she is my only child. People might think of me as weak or a pushover, but I think that there's been enough punishment and revenge in this family, and I can't go on like this with so much hate in my heart. I decided to fix things, not out of a sense of duty or obligation, but because I really wanted to. I don't think that I would forgive her if I wasn't her mother, but I am. And I guess, just this once I can look past whatever she did, as long as she promised that she will never do anything like this again, not just to me, but to anybody who loves her. We hopped onto a phone call afterward and had a real conversation about everything, which ended with both of us crying. I guess that was a pretty good emotional release. She promised me that she would never repeat her behavior ever again, and that there was nothing in the world that she would want more than to fix her relationship with me. We think we're going to try out online therapy sessions because we've clearly been through a lot, and I don't think we can work through these things without professional help. She also told me that she's asked her father to stay back home because she wants me to drive her up to her campus and help her settle in. It will also give her some time to talk to me before she leaves. Jonathan and Alicia were pretty disappointed that she didn't want them tagging along, but she was very firm about who she wanted to drop her off, and I'm glad that she chose me. I wouldn't say that everything is all fine again, but with enough time and effort, I guess we can repair our relationship, and I hope that we do.